Stay tuned to PBS 39 as we focus on community and economic development. The United Nations eyes Bethlehem as a World Heritage Site. One of the Lehigh Valley's busiest commuter corridors marks a special milestone, and partners aim to restore a downtown Allentown neighborhood one building at a time. These stories up next on Focus.
Funding for Focus is provided by Univest Banking, Insurance, Investments. And viewers like you, thank you.
Thanks for joining us for Focus, recorded at the PPL Public Media Center at PBS 39. I'm Laura McHugh. In this episode, we focus on community and economic development. We begin in historic Moravian Bethlehem, which could one day join the ranks of the Grand Canyon, the Statue of Liberty, and the Great Wall of China as a World Heritage Site. Reporter Brittany Garzillo explains.
We tell not only a local story or a regional story or a national story, we tell a worldwide story.
There's a lot of rich history that we should be very proud of.
So many of us walk through this town on a daily basis, but you don't always quite think of all the history that extends beyond you.
Exactly, all the way back to 1741, right here, right in our hometown.
Across 14 acres in Bethlehem's historic downtown, Moravian settlements set the scene of a town that dates back to the 1700s.
In the time period from 1741 to about 1810, we had an incredible community here on the banks of the Lehigh River. The Moravians founded the earliest school to educate women. They had America's first pumped municipal water system. The clock is in the belfry of Central Church is the oldest operating town clock. We had the 7th oldest apothecary in North America, not just in the United States. And here we may have actually had one of the earliest hospitals. We have original buildings, many of which are still used for their original purposes.
With help from Charlene Donchez-Mowers, the president of Historic Bethlehem Museums and Sites, and Bethlehem Mayor Bob Donchez, these local treasures have garnered international attention.
We are absolutely thrilled to have reached the highest designation we can possibly reach in the United States, and that is to be placed on the United States tentative list for nomination to the UNESCO World Heritage List.
A designation awarded by the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, the UNESCO World Heritage List features some of the most prestigious natural and cultural sites in the world, including Yellowstone National Park, Stonehenge, and the Acropolis in Athens, Greece.
It's our 276th year of being a city. Moravians brought their culture to Bethlehem. When you look at the architecture of Main Street and Church Street, it really is almost going back in time.
In 2016, Bethlehem's Moravian church settlements made the U.S. tentative list for nomination to the UNESCO World Heritage List, alongside sites including Ellis Island, the Brooklyn Bridge, and Central Park.
What are some of the places that make up this Moravian settlement?
The settlement is actually a very small area here in downtown Bethlehem. Let's just start with God's Acre. God's Acre is the earliest cemetery in Bethlehem, and it is very unusual because people were not buried according to family, but they were buried according to something the Moravians called choirs or groups. And so the single women, single men, married women, little girls, little boys are all buried together, but not in family groups. And there was no segregation of ethnicities or races. This is called the Sisters House Bell House Complex, and it includes the Old Chapel and the Gemein House, the oldest building in Bethlehem, Central Moravian Church, the Widow's House, and then down into the Colonial Industrial Quarter. By 1747, the Moravians had 35 crafts, trades, and industries operating here. John Adams, President of the United States, called it a curious and remarkable town because of the incredible level of activity in the mechanical arts.
So, what kind of impact could this potential designation have on the city of Bethlehem?
I think they definitely would see a boost in tourism. And when you have more people come to Bethlehem or more people to the Lehigh Valley, you're going to have spin-offs with the hotels and restaurants and retail.
It is a fairly lengthy process, so there is a whole criteria of looking to see that we really can rise to the level of being considered worthy of worldwide recognition and having something called outstanding universal value, so that we should be important to the whole world. For Bethlehem.
More than 1,000 sites around the world are currently ranked on the World Heritage List. 23 of those sites are from the United States, and only one is in Pennsylvania, Independence Hall in Philadelphia.
Thank you, Brittany. For our next story, we travel to downtown Allentown with Focus reporter Grover Silcox.
In the past 5 years, Center City Allentown has seen $1 billion worth of new or proposed development, anchored by the construction of PPL Center at 7th and Hamilton Streets. Look just a few blocks north and you'll see another nearby neighborhood in transition. Through much of the 20th century, Hess's department store attracted shoppers and celebrities alike to downtown Allentown. It earned the nickname Hollywood on Hamilton, and the idea spread to nearby 7th Street.
We always said it was the red carpet leading up to the main event. If you consider 7th Street to be the red carpet and Hamilton Street to be the main event, that's exactly where we are.
Decades ago, 7th Street was a portal to a bustling mecca of retail shopping. When Hess's and other Center City retailers went out of business, 7th Street, like the rest of the city, went into an economic spiral.
There was about 70% vacancy rate in the commercial corridor. Many of the storefronts that couldn't rent had turned into ground floor apartments. There was great drug use, vandalism, graffiti, broken windows constantly.
Not much had changed by the time Peter Lunas moved into the neighborhood from New Jersey in 2003.
It was basically a shuttered corridor.
But in 2007, a group called the Community Action Development Corporation, or CADC, and the City of Allentown launched the 7th Street Main Street program.
With this facade, we stripped the brick of its paint, we repointed.
And put Peter in charge.
He's the mayor of Main Street. What can I say?
Peter is outstanding. He is the mayor of 7th Street.
I live here, I walk out the door every day. I can't help myself. If I see something that needs to get done, I'm always kind of out there.
As Main Street manager, Peter oversees revitalization efforts for nearly 110 commercial storefronts and other properties that line 8 city blocks from Linden to Washington streets.
We've restored about 70 facades on the street.
At 7th and Liberty, Peter introduces us to restaurant owners Ibiza and Bella Mulata.
This building itself, 446 North 7th Street, where Mariam's restaurant is, was a dilapidated building. We purchased that and put a lot of money into it in refurbishing from the ground up.
Looks beautiful. Give me a hug.
Outside, newly planted saplings line the sidewalk.
BB&T Bank, which is one of our great partners, helped plant trees as well as fund the replacement of the 7 trees that needed to be replaced.
BB&T also provided planters to adorn storefronts and facades. Myriad other companies have also contributed. They include PPL Corporation, Wells Fargo, and City Center.
This project was one of our major projects on 7th Street. The building had become blighted. It was absentee landlords, and the entire building had been shut down. So we helped with the facade. The facade was painted a dark submarine gray and spent about 2 years cleaning up all the brick and then lighting up the properties. And now there are 8 market rate apartments and 4 rentals. Hey Leslie, how are you?
While making his rounds, Peter introduces us to his friend, Leslie Talago, an administrator at St. Luke's Evangelical Lutheran Church.
I live 3 blocks away, so I truly am well vested in the community in that I work, shop, worship, and volunteer all in the same community.
Prior to 2015, residents like Leslie had nowhere nearby to go for groceries.
This building across the street, 602-618 North 7th Street, represents probably one of our largest revitalization goals. It's an original Sears from 1948.
It's a Supremo supermarket. A New Jersey developer bought it, invested $6 million, and has created 85 jobs.
This is my friend Mo Sinastra.
Peter and his cohorts are determined to restore 7th Street, one building at a time.
What we're looking at over here is the run of 428 to 434 North 7th Street. The buildings were in good shape when we first started, but we gave them a little uplift, and we also did some great architectural lighting.
Peter stops at an old mansion recently purchased and scheduled for a facelift.
I love the detail around the window. This room here on the side has the original mahogany bookcases, as well as a fireplace, and it is just really spectacular.
According to the CADC, since 2007, 45 new businesses moved to 7th Street along the Main Street corridor. 55 storefront facades were restored, and property values rose by 250%. Altogether, private-public partnerships and individual investors have poured an estimated $5 million into the Main Street revitalization. Like the neighborhood around him, Peter's own home, a 3-story property at 7th and Liberty Streets, is a work in progress.
This has been continuous commercial on the ground floor, but the upper floors hadn't been used when I moved here.
Peter transformed this vacant space into a modern loft apartment. From the looks of it, Peter's home and 7th Street overall have both come a long way in 10 years.
We went from a community that was dubbed "Why Bother" to "Have you seen what's happened?"
Francisco.
Grover continued to follow 7th Street north into Whitehall Township, where this stretch of Route 145 has been known as MacArthur Road since 1942. 75 years later and lined with shopping centers, it's now one of the region's major commercial and commuter corridors. But Grover takes us back to when the Lehigh Valley suburban sprawl had just begun.
That's got northbound MacArthur Road jammed, approaching Route 22 through Mickley. Southbound MacArthur's backed up Mechanicsville Road through Mickley Road. Traffic's also at a standstill in Mickley in both directions.
Every day, 40,000 vehicles travel through Whitehall Township on Route 145, locally known as MacArthur Road.
It is the golden strip of the Lehigh Valley.
But according to author Karen Gency, in the early 1900s, that golden strip was more likely to see cows than cars.
In the 1940s, there was a suburbanization movement of people following the American dream of moving out of the city and into the suburbs.
Karen explains how this 7-mile stretch paved the way for the township to prosper. From the turn of the 20th century, the road evolved from a cowpath to a major highway as people moved into Whitehall and traffic grew. In 1928, township commissioners voted to expand the road to 2 lanes and pave it in concrete. And 12 years later, they named it after popular General Douglas MacArthur, who had just been made commander of the Pacific Theater in World War II.
It is one of the earliest namings of anything after General Douglas MacArthur.
75 years later, the township is celebrating.
Everyone is rallied around celebrating the rich history of General MacArthur, as well as the highway and how it evolves and how it continues to evolve.
Today, the General's namesake is home to 5 shopping centers and a multitude of other businesses, which collectively generate more than $2 billion a year. The Strip itself has an estimated property value of more than $600 million.
Things have changed. A lot more businesses have moved into or onto MacArthur Road, and a lot of businesses have come and gone.
Doreen Cantillini and her dad, Donald George, owners and heirs to George Kleckner and Sons Appliances, the oldest store on the Strip, share some memories.
The earliest memories that I have, it was all farmland, nothing else.
Kleckner's opened in their present location in 1950.
Wolf Orchards used to be on MacArthur Road, right next to us. We have one of their old farm buildings here, farm stands.
That's the last remnant of Ray and Joe Wolf's popular fruit stand. In 1957, 2 guys from Harrison built one of their big box stores on 97 acres on MacArthur Road, where Dick's Sporting Goods and Giant Food Market now stand.
They came in and they were going to take over everything. They did for a while.
2 guys challenged Pennsylvania's blue laws, banning Sunday sales. They stayed open for business in spite of myriad citations.
It was more lucrative for them to be open. They were the only place open on a Sunday.
2 guys closed in the 1980s.
What we did in the old days, when the big boys came in, we'd give service. And that's important. And not only service in the home, but service in the store. The old saying that we have here, and it came from my father, you treat the customer as you want to be treated.
Don and the Kleckner sales team joined the celebration in the 1950s when planners tied Route 22 into MacArthur Road. Greater access attracted bigger competitors, and in 1966, the Whitehall Mall, the first in the Lehigh Valley, opened for business.
When the Whitehall Mall opened, we have articles that there was gridlock at that time on Grape Street, but everybody kept coming.
Shoppers poured into the mall through Sears and Zollinger's department stores.
You could shop indoors. There were fountains and plants and plenty of parking and air conditioning out of the weather.
In 1969, PennDOT expanded MacArthur to 6 lanes and put in 4 jug-handle exits.
When they went from 4 lanes to 6-lane concrete, it was $6.5 million in 1969.
In 1976, the Lehigh Valley Mall opened at the intersection of MacArthur Road and Route 22.
On the site of Lehigh Valley Mall was Braden Field, and that was the home of the Allentown Cardinals, named after Sam Braden, the owner of the St. Louis Cardinals.
The Cardinals played at Braden Field from 1948 to 1956. The stadium held 5,000 people and attracted crowds of between 70 and 80,000 per season in its heyday. In 1959, Max Hess bought the stadium and renamed it. He sold the property and it later became the site for the Lehigh Valley Mall. Hess also had opened Hess's North department store in 1975. It closed in 1993. Walmart now stands in its place. As for the Lehigh Valley Mall, it now features more than 150 stores, including 3 department stores.
Just the Lehigh Valley Mall alone, the amount of sales tax generated to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is close to the $1 billion mark every year. And then you multiply that by all the other businesses on MacArthur Road. It is an economic engine, not only for Whitehall, but also for the Lehigh Valley.
A committee of Whitehall citizens planned an array of 75th anniversary celebrations. They held a gala. They enlisted students from Whitehall Copley School District to create artwork for display at the Whitehall and Lehigh Valley malls. They lined MacArthur Road with anniversary banners, and Karen presented public lectures on the history of Whitehall.
It's always evolving. Everyone has different memories of MacArthur Road depending on what era or what decade you grew up in.
Yay for MacArthur Road, and congratulations to make it to 75, and here's to the next 75.
For Focus, I'm Grover Silcox reporting.
Thank you, Grover. In Bethlehem, the Steel Stacks Arts and Cultural Campus, where PBS 39 is located, recently received a Gold Medal Award for Urban Excellence for its redevelopment of the former Bethlehem Steel property.
It's a pleasure to be here to hand out the 2017 Rudy Bruner Award, the gold medal for urban excellence, and to be awarding to Steel Stacks and the Cultural Campus. Our goal is to discover and celebrate special places that promote fresh and innovative thinking about cities.
The Steel Stacks campus was designed to be a 21st century town square.
Projects like Steel Stacks provide an example of how thoughtful design, public-private partnerships, historic preservation, environmental sustainability, and creative financing can play a central role in community health, renewal, and longevity.
At the end of the journey, there is this: an arts, entertainment, and culture campus like no other in the world. As PBS 39 celebrates its 50th year and launches its new strategic plan, WLVT 3.0, there is no more fitting spot for us to be but right here, celebrating the power of partnership, basking in the recognition of such an impressive honor as the Rudy Bruner Award for Urban Excellence, and looking forward to the next chapter on this trip.
As we focused on community and economic development, the theme of collaboration emerged. It doesn't always happen on a grand scale with major public-private partners. Sometimes it's neighbors working with neighbors, as we found out when we looked into the backstory of a special landmark in Hellertown.
The name is Joseph Delfo. I'm here to talk a little bit about the building of the clock tower in the middle of Hellertown at the Hellertown Plaza back in 1987. The clock itself, it's a year older than I am. The works were built in 1930. Back about 1957 or 1958, I used to do a lot of work for the Borough of Hellertown, electrical work. Back in their back garages, and at one of the corners, I found this clock, the works. When I was all done, I put it all back right where it was. 35 years later, I decided it was time to dig it out and see if I couldn't get enough interest to put it in the middle of Hellertown. I thought it would look very nice as a clock tower. I got it out, and this gentleman, Mr. Macy, worked at the Bethlehem Steel. He also was a clockmaker. He got the thing working for me. Once I saw it worked, I went to the Borough Council to ask permission to build it at the plaza behind the wall. Well, of course, after a little bit of discussion, they agreed upon it. I had stonemasons come forward. Bethlehem Steel block layers laid all of the block for the tower. The concrete companies come forward and donated all of the cement. To make a long story short, we built that tower for $4,800. So it shows you how the people of Hellertown, on a good project, they will come forward and they'll help. They'll help financially as well as they'll help physically. The top of the tower, most of it was built up at Votech. Votech school left out at the end of the year, so they brought it home and put it in my garage. I finished it. They were building I-78. I went up there, talked real nice to the foreman on the job. They sent one of their cranes down, picked it up at my home, brought it down here and put it on top of the tower for me. After it was built, I thought it would be nice if we would have chimes. So I left it be known, so I get a phone call from Addie Fry. She wanted to buy the chimes for the clock tower. I set them up, we played them one day, and the Fry family was all there to be the first ones there for the chime. And the very first song we played was Amazing Grace. That was her husband's favorite song. I thought this would be so nice in this community to have it there. That tower there hopefully will be there when I'm long gone.
That was an excerpt from the PBS 39 original production, Our Town, Hellertown, a video series created in partnership with the borough's residents. You can visit ourtown.pbs www.wlvt.org for more information. Now, speaking of our town, Allentown is my town, and I loved seeing that story about the red carpet leading to the big show, and that's what 7th Street used to be. It used to be
looks
quite
like
different.
it's going to be the red carpet once again, right to Center City. And of course, MacArthur Road continues to prosper and grow in new and different ways.
Thank you, Grover. Thank you, Brittany. And thank you for watching. We'll see you next week. This program is recorded at the PPL Public Media Center at PBS 39 in Bethlehem.